Beautiful people, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're making this beautiful ruffle pencil skirts. If you are new here, thank you for subscribing, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back to learn something new.
The things you'll be needing: your elastic and your fabric, then your tape rule, your chalk, your scissors, and every other thing you need. So now we'll start our pattern drafting, which is starting with the waist measurement, and then we'll get our hip point, which our hip point is 8.5 inches. If you notice, I reduced it by 1.5 inch. The 1.5 inch is going to be representing our band measurement, so you're going to have to add it when you're measuring from the waist to the hip. So now I'm measuring from the waist to our skirt length, which is I use 25 inches. So here now we'll go into our measurement for the hip. So I took the measurement for the hip divided by 4, and I added 1 inch seam allowance to it. And then we'll go to our skirt length and use our original hip measurement without the seam allowance for our skirt length. That's where our skirt is going to be reaching, since we don't want the skirt to be big at the lower part. We want it to be fitted. So we're going to use our original hip measurement without using the seam allowance. So here we're just connecting our dots together. And if you notice, I made the lower part straight. That's because when you're turning it in, or when you're sewing it, if it's not straight at the lower part, it's going to be having a V effect where you'll not be able to fold in very well. The lower part is going to be much more than the actual place you want to fold. So now we're trying to create our band, which we're using our waist measurement by 2 inches on a fold, because it's going to be on a fold. Yes, it's going to be folded by 2, so, and the waist by 4. So now we're just cutting and cutting, marking and marking. So we're going to join our dots together and cut it out. So after we've cut it out, that's our basic measurement, our basic pattern draft. So here I'm just using free hands to measure. I didn't measure the so yeah, I was just measuring where I wanted the skirt to actually reach. So I opened up by 1.5 inches greater space, yes, and then I used my stapler. Oof, the name is in my head, but it's not coming out. A plaster. No, that's not plaster. Anyways, I just used that to hold it down. The sellotape, yeah. I don't know why I went to be. Then I had to connect all the lines back. And here we already cut the front measurements. Make sure when you're cutting your front measurement, the centers are aligning so you don't give a wrong measurement. And then when you're cutting your back, you leave out 1 inch for the zip allowance. And here I just reduced my my center front by 0.5 inches. And then here I was just trying to measure the elastic we'll be needing for the skirt. So I used 22 inches because I didn't want the skirt to be too short. I want to be able to wear it to church. So I used 22 inches. And then you take that to the machine, and make sure when you're sewing from the beginning, from your waist, you leave 0.5 inch. So when you're joining to your band, it's going to be okay. And at the lower part, you leave 1 inch so you'll be able to hem it. So here now we're cutting our band. I folded it into 4 and I'll be cutting it into 2 because I want it to have joining at the sides. So it's folded by 4, and then you cut and So I'm going to be opening it up at this side because I want it to have joining. I said that already. So after you've done that, you take it to iron. You iron your, I used tissue stay. I doubled it. I didn't want to use normal stay because it was going to be too hard and so uncomfortable when I'm sitting down. So I just used the tissue stay. I doubled it. So then we pin down our sides together. I didn't pin it down because the fabrics were staying very well. And then you drag your elastic while sewing on the elastic. You sew on your elastic and you drag it, and make sure you don't drag it over the skirt. And here I already joined the bands together, and if you notice, I already ironed. I folded it by 1/2 inch, and then the other side is not folded. So now I've gone to join the sides of the skirts, and remember I said we were going to be joining on the elastic while you're pulling it. So here I want to go and sew our zip allowance, but here before we go and sew the zip allowance, we're going to have to create space for the ruffles, like follow the ruffles, so our skirts will not have that fold effect at the back of the at the back where the zip is. So now we're going to follow the folds from the side of the ruffle, and then we're going to measure where we want our skirt to reach, which I already measured 10 inches for the skirt. And then when you're sewing your zipper, you're going to ruffle, you're going to like make little gathers so that fold effect of the zip is not going to be there. So after you've measured it, you take it to the machine. Here we already joined the zip allowance and we already hemmed the lower part of the skirt. So here I'll just folding for you to see. If you leave that part without ruffling or gathering it a little bit, it's going to be longer than the sides of the skirt. So after we've done that, we take our band, which we've already ironed and folded. We make sure your lines, your sewing is aligning, like the side sewing. And when you're sewing your bands together, you make sure your allowance is going to the back. So here we've already joined it from the inside, and here we just want to go and sew on it. Make sure your sewing, your lines are aligning. And then after you've done that, have you seen how long it is? So you go to your machine when you want to join the zipper, and then you gather it a little bit. So here we've gone to do that. We gathered it already, and our skirt is ready. So if the video was helpful, kindly like, share, subscribe. Thank you. Bye.